Good day, everybody. This is John Scarborough. Wanted to do a little discussion today. Talk about how we're getting ready for the drought, the upcoming drought that they're calling for. We're certainly hoping that they're wrong on their predictions. Some of the things I've heard is it's possible it's going to be one of the worst droughts in history in our area. But we don't know that for sure. I wanted to show this because this right here is more of a mid to cool season grass. So it's like one of the last cool seasons to come up. I don't even really know if it offers a whole lot of forage. There's never really a whole lot of leaf on it. And then this right here, these down here, that is Bermuda grass starting to come on, I believe. And then this right here is some Bahia grass, just barely starting to get some leaf on it. That's probably, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches there. And then we're going to come up over here, and this is our ryegrass, and this is not typical for our ryegrass. I mean, look at that. There's no leaf. It's all stem. Okay, so this is not good. I mean, we got one pass out of the ryegrass, but it really didn't do very much, and it wasn't growing fast. And then all of a sudden, right about two weeks ago, everything across the farm just started taking off. And we usually try to keep the cows ahead of ourselves. We cannot run them fast enough to get them ahead of the grass. So basically what we're doing is we were first starting out slow because it was growing slower than normal. Okay, but then now it absolutely took off and it's flying, but it's not in a good way. It's throwing a seed head out on it really quick, and that's an indication of high stress in the grass. If I didn't know better, I'd say that we were overgrazing, and that's what caused it, but that's not what caused it, because that's not what we were doing. So it's difficult to know for sure exactly what it is, but I'm wondering if it's just a combination of everything that happened earlier on early in the season with the ryegrass. I have other videos talking about our ryegrass and all the stuff that we had. We had some really interesting things happen that was really hard on the ryegrass this winter. So if y'all aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to my channel and go back and check out some of those other videos, and you'll see some of the content on that. But anyway, so the point is I think there's a combination of that, but then also the upcoming drought. And so when grass or any type of anything gets stressed out, then it throws a seed head on it as fast as it can and doesn't hardly leave any energy at all for the forage. So we're running the cows through here and running them through as fast as we can to get them to trample what they can, knock down what they can, and graze what they can, but then get them moving to the next pasture as fast as they can. And because we want to knock some of this top forage down in order to allow room for the summer grasses that are starting to come in. But at the same time, we don't want them to graze too much of this summer grass, especially if we're coming into a drought. We really want to be careful at this time to where they're coming down and they're getting it, and they're getting a bite, and then they're leaving as fast as possible. But you want to be careful in times like this when it comes up, because, well, for one, it looks from a distance, when you just look out over it, it kind of looks good. It looks like tall, good grass. But when you get down close to it and you're down like this, I mean, you can tell it is thin. And, you know, you can see that we've got somewhat of a litter bank, and we've been working on that for a while to try to make sure we've always got litter cover. And we're going to need that if that drought comes, okay? So it's going to be a little bit touchy, and you want to be real careful when you let your cows in. You want to watch it close, because if they get to the point, you know, they're going to tend to reach down and grab this summer grass. That's pretty much what they're going to get. They're going to get a little bit of the ryegrass. They're going to knock that out. But pretty much what they're going after is this summer grass right here, because that's the tender stuff. Well, at this stage, it's fine for them to get one bite, but that's all they need. If they get any more than that, they're really going to put a hurting on that summer grass. And they will go after this clover too, any of the clover that we've got in there. And y'all can tell we got a big mix. We got a lot of weeds along with a lot of clovers. And at this stage, a lot of times the weeds, they'll actually nip the weeds. Like you could almost, early in the season, you could almost handle twice the cattle on a piece of land like this, and they would actually help keep a lot of the weeds down. But then the problem is come summer, you wouldn't be able to handle near that many, and you would end up with worse weed problem and not near as much grass. So that's the kind of the, you know, the big problem that everyone gets. But anyway, I'm definitely seeing a lot of weeds in here. So my prediction is we're going to see more weeds coming up once they get out of this pasture. Just because of some of the stress. But, you know, the pasture has weeds anyway because we don't use sprays. But anyway, so that's something you really, really want to be cautious of, is not overgrazing these things. You want to move them as fast as you can, but at the same time, knocking that spring grass off. This is something some of you folks that are up in cooler states and stuff, y'all don't experience the green, winter, the cool season grasses, the ryegrass and things like that we do here in the South. And so anybody in the South, y'all kind of know what I'm talking about. It's a different animal right there at the beginning of the year. And so it's like you have to transition out of there. And you do want green, you want to leave some of this good ryegrass behind. But I have seen if you leave too much organic matter from the spring grass behind, you can actually smother out your summer grass because it hits it at just the wrong time. So you can actually smother out your summer grass and cause more weed development. So you want to be real careful. So I'm not 100% sure how this is going to go, but probably we're going to go as fast as we can coming through the farm once. We may even pass through the whole farm in 30 days or less. And then after that, we may be slowing them way down, like way down. And the slowing them to way down is going to be to buy us time in recovery everywhere else, have them as much of the farm as possible recovering. But then secondly is going to be to be sure to be trampling the upcoming weeds and any of the ryegrass that's left behind. Get it trampled down, get it laid down, and ready for the cattle. A lot of people's going to be telling me I need to be brush hogging during this time, and I got to tell you, I'm not real sure. I think the brush hogging is definitely going to be better than spraying. We know that for sure, but it's going to be touchy if there's going to be a big drought, because you kind of don't want to take down any more forage than you have to. If I do brush hog, I'm definitely just going to be taking the very tops. I'm going to raise that brush hog up as high as it will go and come in and just nip the tips. If I start to see way too many weeds, I'll have to do that just to encourage the grass growth anyway. But so we'll see. It may get a little tough for a lot of us farmers out there, you know, with the fuel prices. We don't really have to worry too much about fertilizer prices because we don't fertilize. We have the cattle do that for us and everything, and we use different types of implements. And y'all can, like I said, you can check out the rest of my channel and you'll see videos on that. But I have noticed that the grass is more sparse this year, almost acting like it could really use some fertility. And like I said, I think that's the winter grass. I'm not seeing a whole lot of difference in the summer grass, but we'll see. It's hard to know. It's hard to predict what's going to happen when you see a big drought like this coming up. But anyway, guys, so y'all stay tuned. We are going to be talking more about this, about what we're doing for this drought and how we're trying to stay ahead of it and hopefully, you know, do the best that we can. One thing that we will definitely be doing is downsizing. We've already downsized a little bit in preparation for it, but we want to downsize some more because we know the drought's there. And one thing that I'm doing, and I would advise anybody else to consider doing it, is right now, at least in my area, I'm seeing pretty good prices for cattle right now. So it's like, okay, they're predicting a drought, but yet right now are good prices for cattle. So that's really a really good time to call. You could knock your herd down a pretty good bit, and you might set yourself up for success if we end up with a drought. If we don't end up with a drought, it's not that big of a deal that you downsize. I mean, you still made money on those cows. I wouldn't say cut your herd out all the way unless of course you really just do not have the forage. But I would definitely be considering the downsizing and right now seems to be a pretty good time to do it because we're still able to buy, still able to sell them and get a pretty good price. So anyway, that's something I'm playing around with, is definitely going to do some of that. But anyway, guys, so I'm not going to drag this video out too long. I appreciate y'all coming out and hanging out with me. Everything seems to be doing okay, but I've definitely noticed on the stemmy grass now that, because it went straight from green flush to stemmy grass, their performance is not as good as I'd like to see it in May. So anyway, but we're making it through and we're figuring it out. So as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.